part 3. So you've dug your holes. Now it's time for the concrete. So first you find out that you've dug your holes 16 inches wide and 16 inches deep, as opposed to the 14 inches diameter that you were supposed to build it, because you decided to go with 6x6 post, which is overbuilding it, but you want it to be the biggest, most sturdy deck in the world, which requires at least a 14-inch diameter sonotube, but they don't sell 14-inch sonotubes anywhere around me. So you have to specially order a 14-inch sonotube from Whitecap Construction, and they are $300 for two 12-foot sonotubes. You're not good at measurement, so you decide that you need 2 of them, even though you actually only have to use 1 of them. Math. So anyway, you stick these big sonotubes in the hole, and you realize that there are 2 or 3 inches of space around it, so you fill it with backfill, but then you got to make sure there's no rocks in it, and then you got to pack it down by walking on it and using a pounding bar, which you have to buy. So you do all that, and now it's time for the concrete. You've never poured concrete before. In fact, I've never even messed with concrete. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know what it's supposed to look like, except for looking at it in TV shows and movies. So I rent a concrete mixer, because there's no way that I'm going to hand mix 50 bags of 60-pound concrete, because that's what ChatGPT says I need. You need more, trust me. So you rent the concrete mixer, and you have no idea how to turn this thing on. There's no instructions with it. The Home Depot guys are like, good luck. So you have to find another friend with another truck and get that big, bulky, awkward concrete mixer to your house. Then you have to have a wheelbarrow, which you've had since 1970. And now you set up your concrete mixer and your wheelbarrow, and you read the directions on the concrete. And it says 2 quarts of water per bag of concrete. So you get your quarts, you get your quart measurement, and you're so specific, making sure that just 2 quarts are in there. And then you throw the bag in the concrete mixer. But you should have cut the bag before you throw it in the concrete mixer. Now you're trying to cut the bag in the concrete mixer with concrete on top of the paper. It's a nightmare. Anyway, so you figure out how to turn the concrete mixer on. You pour the water in it, and it looks like dirt. It doesn't look like the concrete you've seen on TV. It just looks like dirt. So you add a little more water, and it spins. And you add a little bit more water, add a little bit. Eventually, you're just taking the water hose, you're breaking all your rules, and you're just spraying the water hose in there until it looks like concrete, which you have no idea what it's supposed to look like, except for that one HGTV episode you saw when they were laying concrete, when they were pouring concrete. So now the mixer's going, it looks like concrete, and it's time to dump the tub in the wheelbarrow. So you're like, okay, great. How do you do that? You look around, you find this pin, you pull it, and you use the arm to dump it, but you forgot to turn the whole thing off. So it's rotating around as it's going down, which caused the whole concrete mixer to fall into the wheelbarrow, grinding the tub against the side of the metal wheelbarrow, scraping it to hell, and denting it. So you try to pull it up fast, you can't because it's full of concrete. So you turn it off, you get a buddy to pull the concrete mixer back up. You don't make that mistake again, and then you think, I might have to pay for this thing because it looks busted. It looks way worse than it did when I rented it. So you go about getting the 2 buckets, which of course you have to buy. You've got to buy a hoe because you've got to scrape it, and you still have to mix it in the wheelbarrow. Then you have to buy a shovel to get the concrete, a little small shovel to get the concrete into the buckets. And then these buckets, I swear, weigh 110 or 120 pounds, and you've got 2 of them walking about 20 feet, and you're trying to pour it into the concrete forms, the sonotubes. But there's rebar in there because ChatGPT said to make it really solid, you put rebar in there. So you had to go buy some rebar, and you had to buy an angle grinder to cut the rebar to size. So you're making these rebar cages that you saw on YouTube. So you're pouring the concrete in the rebar, and the concrete's so heavy it's breaking the rebar cages. So now you have rebar sticking out the side of the sonotube, and at this point you don't care. You just keep pouring that concrete, pouring that all night, just pouring that concrete and pouring that concrete. And finally, you finish one tube, then you got to get this trowel, which you have to buy, and you have to slowly flatten the top of the concrete to make sure that it's nice and level. It won't be, but you still have to do that. So you pour all the concrete, and then it's time to take the concrete mixer back, and you're scared. So you come up with this story, which is, look, I know the concrete mixer tub looks terrible. Let's work something out. I don't think I should have to buy the whole thing. Let me just buy the tub. You take it back to Home Depot. You're ready with your story, and you bring it in. They slap a sticker on there and say, okay, thanks. And you're like, oh, okay. And you just slowly walk off until the next stage of the process.